What is up, YouTube? I'm God874 here, bringing you guys my APM Season 3 draft analysis. Yes, another draft analysis is here on the channel. This is going to be our third and final one of the winter season, as I've already uploaded my PCP and PTL ones. But if you guys are unaware, the APM is run by Jet Swarley. We actually have been a part of APM for quite some time now. We joined in Season 2 and we made it all the way to the finals and lost to Love. We took part of the Fun League and we actually won the Fun League by beating Savage King in the finals, my only championship still. And then I also took part in the APM Gala tournament, which is not on YouTube, and I did absolutely horrendous in. So we don't need to talk about all that. But Jet is a great dude. He's one of my best friends in the whole community. So big shouts to him for hosting the Season 3 of APM. I'm very excited about it. But I will give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on the APM and the rule set real quick. Basically, we are doing National Dex format, but we are not using Thanos Snap moves like Pursuit, Return, and Frustration. But one Thanos Snap move we are allowed to use is Hidden Power. So keep that in mind for a little bit later as I go through my draft. That will become a known factor. There are 16 people, and they are going to be 12 mons on the team. It is a tier-based system, so you get something from like Tier 1, Tier 2, blah, blah, and all that stuff. So that will all be on screen at some point. And that's basically the rundown of the league. I do want to let you guys know that I actually, just like the PCP, I did not pick up a new Generation 8 Mon, but I did pick up old Mons that I've never used before, so that will be still an interesting and fun experience. I just didn't pick up things I've used, because that's a little bit boring, to be honest. So hopefully I tried to spice things up a bit, and this is basically going to be my team breakdown. So I'm going to go and get into it. By the way, I apologize, I'm not sure when this video is going to go up. I just know it's going to be at least a day late, maybe two. So apologies for that. But on to the draft, we got 11th of 16th overall, which isn't that bad. It could have been a little bit better, but I'm not going to complain. I didn't really want too high of a pick because I wasn't sure I wanted to draft because there were so many different options. At least this way I got some things eliminated from my mind right away. And I did end up settling for something that I'm really excited to use. It's something I've never used before. It's a Gen 7 Mon, but in Gen 8, I've been having a lot of success with fire types, particularly Salazzle and Cinderace. Well, this is a fire type I have never used before, and it also gives me a pretty good speed tier. We got the Clown. I got the Clown. Blacephalon is doing its thing here on the team. It's my first time ever using it. I have used Chandelure before, and I was really happy with that. Blacephalon hits harder and is faster, and it also has a nice physical attack too, so that is very useful. It's a little bit more frail, and it doesn't have Energy Ball, which would be really nice, but outside of that, Blacephalon is really cool. Fire and Ghost is a very spammable type, as I have learned in the past, and just fire types are good in general. I can do a bunch of different things with Blacephalon, and because it has Beast Boost, which is a really good ability, I can snowball very fast and become a really deadly cleaner late game. So in my round 1 pick, I got either a breaker or a cleaner, depending on how I play it, and just some good coverage overall against a lot of Pokemon, and that is a really good way to start off the draft. I'm really excited to use Blacephalon. I am. But moving on to our second overall pick, we decided to pick up Gliscor. Gliscor gave me a lot of utility right away, which is something I really wanted, just so I wasn't pressured to pick up like a Rocker or a Defogger later, just because I have Gliscor right here. This is a Mon that I have used, but I only used it for like 1 or 2 games because I picked it up in the middle of the IBA. I dropped the Gligar, ironically, for it. But Gliscor is a really good Mon. It's a really good pivot, and it has a solid speed stat, so I don't have to be outsped by every wall ever. And the main reason I like Gliscor a lot is because it is a wall that doesn't lose to Toxic, because Toxic actually helps out Gliscor by healing it every turn. And that is such a good thing about Gliscor, because I don't have to worry about Toxic Stall on this team too much because of Gliscor sitting right here. And the fact that I have a ground type just spamming Earthquake is really nice. And a Defogger that's not weak to rocks. A lot of W's right here, and it also gets a U-turn too. Just the insane amount of utility Gliscor gets is just really good. I know it's not like the bulkiest thing in the entire world if you look at it from like a really defensive standpoint, but it's more as a pivot for me than anything. It's still bulky, but that's how I see it. And it can also be offensive with Swords Dance too. This thing can do a lot of different things. And that is Gliscor on the team, and that's my second overall pick to match with Blacephalon. For my next 2 picks, they will be the final 2 Pokemon that I have used in draft in the past before, so once we get past these 2, we will see some new faces to the channel, not Gen 8. But next up we have Superior. Superior is the tier 1 on my team. It is the only tier 1 I end up picking up this entire draft. But it gives me a bulky grass type, which I thought was really nice for the water weakness that I had so far. It deals with water types very effectively, and it's got an insane amount of utility. Superior. It's much more than like it shows. It gets like, okay, I'm gonna list that off real quick. Aromatherapy, defog, synthesis, glare, toxic leech seed are just the examples I could come up with. That's amazing right there. We know what Superior does. It just spams Leaf Storm. And remember when I said earlier that Hidden Power was the only Thanos Snap move allowed? Well, here it's coming into effect because Superior without Hidden Power is not that great offensively. But with Hidden Power, it's insane. It does lack immediate power because 75 base special attack is kind of trash, but we can work with it because Contrary is such a good ability. And it also deters my opponents from bringing webs in the future. So that is going to be very helpful. And Superior is going to be a very helpful mon to the team. It also gives Blacephalon more room to be a breaker as opposed to being forced to clean every week because Superior is a really good cleaner in itself. So that is going to be a Superior. And now for my fourth mon, I decided to pick up my Bulky Water and complete the double Snake Core and my Firewater Grass Core. I picked up my Milotic. My Milotic is very fat. This is technically the first time it will be on the channel because I used it in CKBO, which was not on the channel. So I guess this is a debut for it, but whatever. It's my Milotic. It's a Bulky Water. And it's going to be a trend throughout this draft. I draft a lot of bulk, whether it be defense or bulky offense. There's a lot of it on this team. Not stall, just some things that are really fat. As the only thing not fat I really don't pick up is Blacephalon, which is pretty frail overall. But everything else I pick up has some bulk to it. This is, your standard basic water. It gets scald, it gets haste, so it doesn't get set up on. It got a new move in Dragon Dance, which is pretty interesting. I don't know how good it's going to be on my Milotic. I don't think it's going to be that good. But at least it gives me an option to be like a physical DD set. I don't know, man. But it's there. It also gets recovery, so it won't die. It's just very annoying for opponents to deal with if they don't have an electric or grass type, which my team deals with insanely well right now. So Milotic is going to fit the team very effectively. Okay, so now you're looking at my team and saying, okay, you have a fire and water grass core. How do you beat dragon types? I don't. So now it's time to pick up a fairy. I've been looking at fairies ever since round 2 because I was thinking about picking something high tier like Florges because I love that thing. But I decided that there's a lot of good lower tier fairies too that I'm willing to wait and let those big bulky fairies go like Florges and Sylveon, which they did end up going. And this round I was thinking, okay, I don't really want to push it off any longer because most people are going to be picking up fairies. And I wanted to pick up Alcremie. Well, Gelbell's bitch ass decided to pick up Alcremie like not long before me. And I was very upset about that. I'm just kidding, Gelbell. But there was only one bulky fairy left on the board, and it was Aromatisse. Yes, I picked up Aromatisse on the team. It's my first time ever using it. This thing has really good HP, good def, okay defense, and it's actually got a solid special attack in 99. So Moonblast, which is a pretty spammable move overall, isn't going to be unresisted by much. This gives a way to Superior, so I can also support with this mon instead of having Superior or Milotic do support roles. So it takes pressure off of them to do that. It has a very underrated ability in Aroma Veil, which you can't get taunted, encored, tormented, all that stuff, which can shut down defensive Aromatisse pretty easily, but because it has the ability, not going to be able to do that. It also has Nasty Plot Trick Room, so if you want to go that route, it can be offensive. It has decent coverage. It's a pretty cool mon overall. It's my first time ever using it, so I hope it puts in the work and deals with dragon types because that's what it's mainly here for, is to deal with them. And maybe set up Trick Room if I want to go that route with this mon. That is going to be Aromatisse. I think it fits the team pretty well. My next pick is actually a part of 3 transactions I made right after the draft. I will mention those transactions after I go through all the mons. I'm not going to say what I originally picked up, but I will say what is currently here. That is going to be Magnezone. Magnezone is a really good mon. It gives me a Volt Switch, which is something I really wanted. An Electric type, which is really necessary. A Steel type, which is really good. This thing's defensive typing is just stupid good. It resists almost like every type in the game. I know it's got a 4 times ground weakness, but Gliscor's sitting right there. Serp's right there. Milotic's right there. Nothing really to fear too much. Fire types are a little bit annoying outside of Milotic, but I can still manage to deal with that later. I have a lot of special attackers on this team right now, but you're going to see in the latter portion of this draft, I pick up a lot of physical attackers to make up for that. So, yeah, we got like 5 special attackers right now. But this is good. Steel types aren't really a big problem for my team, but with Magnapool and Hidden Power, it makes steel types even less of a problem. So that's pretty cool. It also has Analytic, which is a really good ability if I want to run something more bulky but still want to be offensive. That is a good ability. And catching Pokemon on the switch outs, it'll do more damage. It's like a free life orb. And that's pretty cool about Magnezone. I'm excited to use it again. Another mon I haven't used in draft yet. I haven't even used Magneton. I actually really like the way this thing looks too. So hopefully it puts it in work, and I'm excited to use it. So now we have a full team of Mons so far, and it's looking pretty good so far. There's a few things I still want to add to this team, and that includes a Dragon type. I already have a Fairy and a Steel, and adding a Dragon type would complete the core, and so I have Goodra here. It is a part of another part of transactions I make, as again I'll get into later. But Goodra is a really good mon. It can do a lot of different things. It can be like any choiced item you want. Scarf, Specs, and Band. It does all three pretty well. It can be an AV user because that Spadef is just stupid good. It can be bulky support because it has a decent HP stat with enough defense to get by. It could be just a straight up wall. You know, it has a lot of different options it can do. And then on top of that, it has great coverage. There's a lot of things this thing gets. It's a little bit better on the special side, but on the physical side, it still gets a solid amount of moves to use. It has Life Dew, which is like a bootleg recover. That's better in doubles, but at least I can somewhat get recovery here. If I'm facing something more passive, it will be a net gain in that sense. So that's pretty cool. It has really good abilities. It has Sap Zipper, which it's good, but maybe not in this case because my team's not really grass weak. But Gooey's really good because my team is a little bit on the slower side. So if I want to have something slower, instead of having to use webs or something like that, I have Gooey. And basically, when a Pokemon makes contact with you, their speed will be lowered by 1. And that's going to be very helpful for other mons that maybe like Magnezone, if I want Magnezone to be more offensive. And just Goodra does a lot for this team, and just like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of bulk on this team, and this is just another example of it. So that's going to be Goodra. And now for my next pick, I decided to start patching up that weakness and the fact that most of my attackers are on the special side. I want to pick up a physical attacker, and basically, I picked up the offensive version of Gliscor. Picked up Archeops. Archeops was in tier 5, it was in the second lowest tier except for the Dynamax tier, which I'll get into once I explain that mon. And this thing is one of the most underrated mons in draft. This thing has 140 attack with rock and flying stab. That is really good coverage overall. And the fact that I know it has Defeatus, which is a really bad ability, but most times Defeatus won't even kick in because you'll probably be dead because you're so frail. And if you are in Defeatus range, you could run Endeavor. Endeavor is an insanely good move, which brings your HP stat brings your opponent's HP stat equal to the one you're at. So if you're low, they'll also be low, and then you'll be in range to knock them out even through Defeatus. This thing is a very good mon. It is also a really good lead. It has Stealth Rocks. The one thing about my team is that it's a little bit weak on hazards, as Gliscor and Archeops are my only rockers, so that kind of sucks, but hopefully we can manage to deal around it. And it has good support moves. It has Tailwind, all that good stuff. But I think Archeops is just going to benefit from being an offensive attacker, because again, this thing's pretty underrated. But that's going to be the Archeops. And now we have come to my final transaction. This was the only pick I was a little bit unsure of, and I'm still a bit unsure of, but there's nothing else in the same tier that really benefits my team better than this mon. This is going to be Porygon 2. Porygon 2 is the final addition to the bulk on my team because my last 3 picks are not insanely bulky. They're more offensive than anything. But this thing gives me another defensive wall if I need it, just in case I need something else that's like not Milotic or Romatisse. So you get the gist. This thing's really good, especially because it got a little bit buffed now. This Porygon 2 got Teleport got buffed. Teleport is like a slow baton pass, but you don't pass stats. It's like a slow pivoting move. And that's really good because P2 can come in, take a hit, maybe even take another one, or if your opponent switches out, you can teleport and then get the advantage that way. And I think that's going to be very useful. I don't know how many of my opponents are going to be prepared for that. Probably more now that I said that out loud in this video, but I don't really care, to be honest. It gets recovery too, it has 3 good abilities, so it's not the most, it's not that passive because it's got good abilities, and 105 attack is nothing to laugh at. And just going up against P2 in the past, this thing just doesn't die. This thing is just stupid. This is just too bulky. The Eviolite is just a really good item on this thing, and I think it's going to benefit the team well. At this point in the draft, I needed a physical attacker, something a little bit higher tier than Archeops, even though I think Archeops is really good, and I also needed a fighting type. There wasn't really much left on the board, and there was one mon that really stuck out, and I was really hoping it wouldn't get sniped, and luckily I did end up getting the mon. It was Heracross. This is the first time I'm using Heracross in draft, so I'm excited to use it. This thing has really good coverage. It's a good Scarf range, which is something I was sort of lacking, and again, it gives me a really good physical attacker, which is something I was really lacking. It is a bug type that does not get U-turn, so that is pretty unfortunate, but you know, it's whatever. It gets Mega Horn, that hits insanely hard. Close Combat hits hard. Strong base power moves to take advantage of. It has Knockoff, so opponents don't like that. Earthquake, another strong coverage move. That's basically what Heracross does. It also gets Moxie and Guts, so status it doesn't care about status if it has Guts. And then Moxie, if you want to have a late game cleaner, if you want to be a late game cleaner with Scarf, Moxie's a really good ability for that. That's what I wanted to say. And Heracross is just really good. I'm shocked I made it this late into the draft, though this is National Dex, so there's a lot of different Pokemon, so I guess it doesn't shock me too much. That is going to be our 9th pick, and we have 2 more picks left. And for my second last pick, it is going to be a pretty big pick because this is going to be my Tier 6 Dynamax captain. The way this works is that Jed handpicked a few Mons and put them into a lower tier than Tier 5 and made them the Dynamax captains because they're either extra worse than the Tier 5s or they don't benefit too well from Dynamax. However, some of them still did, so Jed did a iffy job on that, but you know, whatever. A lot of them are bug and grass types, and that's sort of a problem because I have a minor fire weakness and I have Superior and Heracross already. So it was kind of hard to find something, but I did find another bug type, but it's okay. I picked up Kricketune. I have Kricketune, it is able to Dynamax, which is really cool. The reason I picked this thing is because it has a decent speed tier, it has sticky webs, which kind of makes up for the lack of rocks on my team, but whatever. And it has really good fighting and flying coverages, which is the main reason I picked it up. It has Aerial Ace, which since it has Technician, it still hits relatively hard, and when you're Dynamaxed, you get a speed boost from flying moves and a attack boost from fighting moves, and that's why I went that route in the end. So if I want to be offensive, it's definitely possible because I can boost myself up with these respective attacks. It also gets Heal Bell too, which is cool, but that's kind of the main gist of Kricketune. It also gets Endeavor, which is another good move. Again, I mentioned that Archeops already, and I just think I always want to use this thing. I love Kricketune. Who doesn't like Kricketune? And I'm able to Dynamax it. It's going to get big on you at one point. That is going to be our second last pick in the draft, and we're going to move on to our final pick, which I actually have no notes written down for. It's going to be Malamar. Malamar is my second Mon with Contrary on this team, so Webs shouldn't be going up against my side because Webs don't really benefit my opponent too much, and if they do put him up, again, Malamar and Superior start to have a field day. It's another Mon. If Superior has a really bad matchup, it's another Contrary Mon I could possibly use. It has good coverage moves overall in Dark Psychic. We get Liquidation now, which is pretty cool, and a few other coverage moves as well. It's pretty cool. There's not much more to it. I really wanted it just because of the typing was really nice. It's another physical attacker. It is bulky enough if it's needed. It's not the bulkiest thing in the world, but if I need something, it's there. Again, something to beat bulky psychics as well as having a psychic typing is just nice in general. And that's basically all I have to say about Malamar. There's not much to it. It doesn't have much defensive utility. And I wish the speed tier was a little bit better, but it's kind of something we're going to have to deal with. And that is going to be Malamar and my final pick in the draft. To recap for you guys, my APM Season 3 team consists of Blacephalon, Gliscor, Superior, Milotic, Aromatisse, Magnezone, Goodra, Archeops, Porygon 2, Heracross, Kricketune that can Dynamax, and Malamar. It's a pretty solid squad overall. I'm not too happy that my fastest Mon is Superior, but I have a lot of bulk on the team, so it's okay in the end. I did mention trades I have made throughout this video. I want to mention them now. I had Magnezone. I originally had Bisharp, but I dropped it in the end and picked up Magnezone just because I wanted an electric type. And I also made a trade with Bearded Dragon. I received Goodra and Porygon 2 from him, while I gave him Duraludon and Celebi. I picked up Duraludon originally, and I just was not happy with it immediately, and luckily he wanted that, so we made up this trade, and thank you for Beardy for that, because I did not like the team with Celebi and Duraludon over Goodra and P2. I just didn't like that. And shout out to Jed as well for running this league. As always, APM is such a fun season, and I hope you guys are as hyped as I am for the season, because he's putting a really big draft league feel into this again, and I really appreciate that a lot. So I'm excited. Again, hope you guys are. I will give you guys a little bit of a preview for week 1. We face the Enrique, or I don't know how you say that, I apologize, coach of the Dusseldorf Darmanitans. We actually faced Enrique. He was my first opponent in the APM Gala tournament, and he absolutely wrecked my ass. So hopefully we can beat him in this league. I like my team a lot more than I did in there, but hopefully we are able to beat him there, because we're currently 0-1 against him. That's going to be next week's video, and that's basically it for the draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.